So guys, today we are going to solve August 2023 end-term question paper of TDS. And let me tell you, this question paper consists of total 70 questions. So let's start the session. But before that, I want to share that my knowledge is also limited. So if you find like something is contradicting to your knowledge, I will always suggest you to refer to the lectures itself. Now let's begin solving the question paper, assuming we have only 1 hour 30 minutes. So first one, you should take this like yes. If not, you will not get any marks even though you have submitted the paper. Next is question number 318. So it says the data sets consist of geographic, demographic information about countries and their respective GDP. You would like to visualize this data and study the relationship between the location of countries and their GDP. You decide to use Power BI to visualize the data set, but you would also like to generate a summary of data. Choose the most suitable answer among the given options. So you have to consider here that what are the things that you want. So first of all, you want to visualize this data. So that can be done by Power BI as it states, right? Now you also need to generate a summary. So by default, Power BI can auto generate summary. If you click on that, you can check it out. It's given in the lecture also. So here are the options. The summary can be generated using Quill, and it is possible because Quill can be used an extension to Power BI. You don't need Quill for this, so you can directly do it in Power BI. Just right click and say auto generate. Quill can only be used for visualization. Therefore, summary of dataset cannot. No, Quill can be used for this summarization of the visualization, but still you can't go with Quill because Power BI directly gives that support. Power BI does not support generation of summary. Therefore, using other visualization tools such as Tableau would work. You don't require it. Actually, Tableau requires the Quill so that you can generate the summary from the visualization. That's why I like Power BI more. And last one is none of the options are appropriate for the generation of summary for the given question. Now for question 319, your project requires you to study the district and their respective health indicators. You have a save file with you that provides the required detail. The objective of the project is to identify and carve out districts that present high levels of health indicators. Choose the most suitable answer among them. So first of all, you need to understand what is save file. So save file is basically .shp extension and it is distributed as levels. So level 0, level 1 and level 2. Say this is basis on country, this is basis on state, this is basis on district. So now you can't pre-assume the answers, so you have to go with the options. So it says QGIS can be used to create save files for districts with high level of health indicators. This is very true because QGIS can actually use these save files and generate summary based on the levels that you see here. So QGIS can directly do that, and for district you will need level 3 or whatever is present in the data set. Now second option, while QGIS can be used to create save files for the requirements, it cannot be used to identify district with a high level of, no, that's wrong. QGIS can work on level basis, so we can directly do that. QGIS cannot be used to meet the objective of the project. That's totally wrong. None of the options are suitable to meet. No, we already got our answer, so that's wrong. Now what are the two outputs provided by Excel Azure machine learning plugin? So if you don't know, you can directly use Excel plugin, and there you need to pass in a tweet and text, and it will generate some sentiment and score. If you have done your GA, then you might know these things. Else, please go and watch those lectures from Excel Azure machine learning plugin. You will be able to solve this question. So this is the right answer. Now data sets consist of year, annual cotton production, annual rainfall, loan interest rate, and fuel price. You would like to compute the correlation coefficient between annual cotton production and other variables in the data set to analyze the effect of various variables on the target variable. So here what you need to understand is what is a target variable. So target variable is whatever you want from the analysis. So basically here if I say cotton production can be one. Okay, so now what they want is, can we use Excel to do that? So Excel cannot be used to compute correlation coefficient, although we can use Excel to visualize the data using scatter plot to study relationship. Now here you can't directly use the data because you have multiple features. So these are all called features, and you need to aggregate them in order to plot them as scatter plot, because then in a single plot it is not possible. Yes, you have multiple plots, you can do that. Now Corel function in Excel is not suitable for this analysis because it doesn't take more than 2 variables in input, but that's not true. You can actually use multiple variables. You need to look at the Corel function first of all. Correlation coefficient cannot be computed for continuous variables. Now this is very wrong, that correlation coefficient cannot be. In fact, it is any value between -1 to 1. So any value can be continuous difference between that. So this is wrong. None of the options are appropriate. That's totally true. However, I would suggest that please go and look at the Corel function because they might ask some questions regarding that. Now go for 322. You would like to prepare your dataset beforehand. You choose Python Pandas profiling library to perform exploratory data analysis. Choose the most suitable option among the given choices. So basically, you need to do some analysis, and Python Pandas profiling library is a analysis library that can do the things automatically rather than writing code. And this generates a summary of data actually mostly. So this is what you have. And now your choice of Pandas profiling not approved because it does not provide information about. No, that's wrong, because that's the whole purpose of summary of data, to get the outliers, and Pandas data profiling actually does that very well. So go with the second option. Your choice is appropriate because Pandas profiling library provides information about outliers. This is very true. You can actually explore that on the internet itself. Okay, now Pandas profiling appropriate because it has no, it is a summary tool. 323. Now 323 is all about a tool called Comicgen. So Comicgen is actually a website. It's not a tool to be in fact, and here you can generate visualization as comics. And here are a few of the following features that you may learn about Comicgen. If you haven't watched lecture, no issue, we will go through this. Like Comicgen can create comic characters, that's totally true. Comicgen provides option to custom create different comic characters and their emotion and pose. 100% accurate, you can actually do that, and it's a great way to visualize the data. Comicgen can be easily integrated with Google Sheets and Excel to generate your data storage. So true. But what you need to understand is, like, your question is about not a function of comic. So Comicgen can't actually create your comic just by writing the data story. It needs to be provided the things that are required, and you can explore that. I will highly suggest go and explore Comicgen. So that's the right answer because it says not a function of comic. Now for 324 question number, a very large matrix A has a lot of zeros entries. Which function from SciPy library is useful for efficient storage of such a matrix? So I assume that many of you have not seen, or even I have not seen this, but I know that there is a library called CSR matrix. So basically it's called compressed row representation, sparse representation, precise. Let me write it again for you. And you can actually go to Wikipedia and see this, and is useful for efficient storage of matrix A. So we already got the function, right? CSR matrix is the function. Now you need to understand how to call that function. So here is the actual thing, CSR underscore matrix. Now for 325 question, let's go. Which of the following library has the function and tools that are useful for analysis of large graph? Now this is a very tricky question because here what they mean by large graph. So these graph actually means node and edge, and that's actually in term called network. So for networking thing, we use scikit-network library. I assume that you may have done in actors.csv file. There was a question where you need to do this. So I assume that you might have done this one. Kumu is also there, but here they haven't given. But if it was given, then you need to tick that also because Kumu also helps us to analysis of large graphs. Now next is Kumu is a tool that allows you to now see this. They have given actually the question, so you can directly, as I have mentioned earlier also, visualize complex network data. So network data is nothing, just the edge and level graph. And by edge and level, it means here are nodes, these are edges which connects nodes. So I assume you might have learned this in CT at the last 4 weeks. So I hope you are good with that. Now question number 327. Which of the following libraries has functions extensively written to extract data from Wikipedia pieces? So now you need to be very careful because here they can give you BeautifulSoup and they can also give you like Wikipedia, and also they have pronounced in lecture Wikimedia. So which one to choose? Actually the library is called Wikipedia. I have checked that. So go with Wikipedia. Here it says BeautifulSoup, Wikimedia and Wikipedia. So Wikipedia is the right answer. Don't take this Wikimedia because that's what has been pronounced in lecture because of the accent change. Now for 328, it says a dataset provided to you has information about countries' respective population. You plan to visualize visualize data in Tableau. Note this tool, it's very important, using the map representation. So map representation is something where you visualize data based on map of India or map of country. Okay, but you are unable to do so because the map representation is not activated for you to choose. So this needs to be activated. For this, what you need to have is like you should have a geolocation column. Means basically the data type that you have should be a geolocation. Now here is a snapshot of the dataset column names and types. Choose the most appropriate option that would solve the problem. So here you see country is a string and population is an integer. So by default country should be a geolocation. Then only you will be able to plot it on the map, because geolocation is nothing but it consists of the coordinates of latitude and longitude. So make sure that it is enabled as geolocation. It is not here, so that will be our answer. But let's see. The provided data set is incomplete, so most of the people will go for this, but that's not the thing. Actually, the country should be geolocation. This is how they trick you. Now we need latitude and longitude information to activate map. No, because if it was a geolocation, latitude and longitude would already be there, but since it is not there, so we will directly say no. There might be a column type incompatibilities too. You can directly see column type is incompatible because string should be converted to geolocation, then only we can do that. Now here the given information provided would not have caused any issue. It is sufficient for map representation. No, that's wrong. You need to have a geolocation coordinate. Now next one is 329, and let's see, is helpful to understand the structure inspect a website before writing the scraping script. So here I think you have taken the web scraping classes. So here it will be inspect element. It's developer tools. So inspect element is also called developer tools, and it's very simple to open it. Just right click here, right click, and you can see here inspect, right? So I use like inspect element, but it is also called developer. So if you click, there will be a sidebar that will open. You can see here it says dev tools, right? So this is the thing. Now next one is question number 330. That is a library has tool to get web page HTML content into Python. So basically whenever you have a web page, you need to send a request to the server, and from there you will get back a web page. Now this web page content need to be applicable in Python. So for that you need a library. You might know that this is nothing but a request library, as right. So request.get or something like that. So don't take anything extra. Most people will take like a BeautifulSoup if they don't know this content. BeautifulSoup is just for parsing. Know this. It's not for getting the content. Request gets the content from the web. Okay. Now 331, type of location, tourist history, etc. can be retrieved using nominatim in Python. So nominatim is a API protocol that is used, and that's true because when it returns it's in a format of JSON where you have latitude coordinates, longitude coordinates, landmark coordinates, and some X and Y bounding boxes also there. So you can extract these using JSON library, and this is how it is extracted. So you can actually get landmark from like tourist histories and institutions or something like that from this nominating library. So that's totally true, and we go for like 332. It says which of the following delimiters cannot be used in text to column function of Excel. So I have seen that this particular question has been repeated many times. So let me explain you. This is just nothing but if you have dog comma cat. So this thing is called delimiter, and what you can do is you can use this particular function in Excel, and this function is not equal to 1. You can get it from the data toolbar ribbon and go to the text to column function. So there you will have like delimiter option or number of spaces. So you can say like what are the delimiters that you can do. So you can do actually comma, you can actually do tab, you can also do semicolon, and you can also do tiddle. So all these things are okay. So answer is none. So this is question number 332. Now question number 333 is what is the y-axis of autocorrelation plot. So if you don't know, autocorrelation plot is basically a plot which shows correlation between multiple variables. If you remember in the previous questions when we started, we said that we can have correlations across multiple variables and target variables. So this autocorrelation plot actually does that for you in auto mode for each feature separately. So this you need to know, and y-axis is nothing but the correlation, because if you see, here are all the feature values and here are just correlation. I write it like correl. So this is what. So here it says these are lines, and if you see like we have distributed it there, so plus minus negative and so make sure that you understand understand that this autocorrelation plot will actually give back a correlation for you, and this correlation will nothing but the y value of the axis. If it was x-axis, then it would have been feature values. Okay, now we are moving on to question number 334, and here it says which of the following tools cannot be used for anonymizing data. So anonymizing data is basically a safe way to share your data while preserving the data itself, and this is very commonly used in scientific community, because there a lot of data needs to be shared in such a way that actual data should not be there, because there might be top names and who are involved in projects and something like that. So for that you need to understand that which of the tool are not for anonymizing data, and I think if I am not wrong, then there will be an option like Power BI or Tableau, and you will get like this is for visualizing. Okay, so you can't actually anonymize data with this. So but yes, I will highly suggest please look into this ARX anonymizing tool, because there might be questions from this particular tool. Okay, now for 334, now let's move on to 335. For one-time anonymization, static anonymization is sufficient. Is this statement true or false? So this is true actually, but basically it says that one-time anonymization. So one-time anonymization means you don't need to anonymize multiple times. So say if you have features like X, Y, Z and you want to anonymize features, so you can create multiple copies with hash function. Now if you do multiple times, then it will not be a one-time anonymization. Okay, but for static also mean one time only in a different sense. So I take this true, and it's actually true. So I hope that you got the intuition how I take that, but I will highly suggest please go into ARX tool video and please watch that. Now for 336 question, we have variable x which can take values AA, BB or CC. The first four values of this variable in dataset are CC, AA, BB, AA. This information is represented as shown in the below. Okay, so here we have AA, and you can see at AA we have 1, and again for AA we have 1. Now for BB at the third position we have 1, and for CC we have in the first position. So you can see this is nothing but one hot encoding or get dummy, or this we can get from pd.get. Okay, so this is what we have. So now you convert variable in this format. So you have a variable and you want to convert it into this ever format. So I already mentioned that what function we can use in Python and using Pandas. So this get dummies is the function that you need to pass on to get this particular thing, and there are more questions like this here, so please look through the Pandas library as well. Now for 337, you have k-means is typically influenced by start values. What option in scikit-learn.cluster.k-means help reduce the impact? So k-means is basically an algorithm in which means you actually have like say data from here. Now let me change the color and show you. Here also is data. Now let's say you initialize a data here. Now you will take the nearest values. Which are the nearest values? So this is sensitive to outliers, because what happens is like if you say like if you say the color say k is equal to 3, so now that means only 3 categories will be formed at last. If you say k is equal to 2, so 2 categories will be formed. So this is actually a parameter that you need to understand and find by different methods. So one method is ML estimation itself. So you might have learned this in MLF. That's the thing. So this is also a parameter. So to initialize this thing, there is a option, and that option is called ninit. So what you do is like scikit-learn.k means here it is a bracket, and then you will provide n init is equal to say 4. So you will initialize this with the cluster 4. So that means there will be 4 clusters that will be initialized, and then you will join. Okay. So if you join it, you will get some another type of categories, and then you can proceed forward. But at the end you will only get. Okay. So that's the 337 question number end, and now 338. So a Pandas data frame DF has a column named salary range, which contains the salary details of 1000 employees of firm binned as medium, high, very high. You are interested in finding out the number of employees in each category of salary. Now, which of the following command will help you achieve this goal? So for each category, when it says each category, there will be a group by, and the default way to do group by is like using value counts at the very least. Why? Because value counts is nothing but it retains unique value, and the way you get this particular salary range, what you do is like here it says DF, right? So we will do like DF salary underscore range dot value underscore counts, and this is what the code we require for this. So there is no code like bin count, and there is no code like DF dollar salary, because we are not in Excel, so we can't do this. Okay, and this also wrong. So you will get the right answer. So I highly suggest please go and look at Pandas syntax, because it will be very helpful while solving these questions, and also look at the methods that you can use with Pandas data. Okay. Next is question number 339. Scikit-learn has a decision tree classifier module that is useful in building decision trees classifier. Suppose our data set is imbalanced in class. Which feature of decision tree classifier will help us to tackle this problem? Now, one thing you need to know is like decision tree classifier is what if you say tree struct. Okay, so what happens is there will be some input and that will be passed to some of the values here based on, say, it will be yes or no, and now again yes, no, yes, some max depth will be there, and you can define that particular thing. Okay, now once you do that, once you get the best model will combine all features to produce optimal result. So basically it should be like data should be balanced here, then only you can do this splitting in an even, else it will be biased, right? So what it says with the imbalanced class is like data set is biased, so you need to fix that thing, and for that you need to actually use a function for decision tree classifier which is called class weight. So what happens is we means basically those classes where the data set is less, say x and y categories, say y has less data. What we do is we multiply some weight to each value of y and keep x as it is. So this makes things even, and this is again a class weight is again a parameter that you need to find, and this is present in the decision class weight. So what you will do, you will pass x, y, and basically class weight. So I highly suggest that please go through these topics like decision tree classifier, regression analysis, and other things are there. So basically all the scikit-learn, just go through it. I think that will be very helpful, because these type of questions are what not explained in detail, but if you know things you can directly do this, else you might do like class balance, and that may be a very bad move from you, because this class balance is actually it evens out the balance. Now if you do like balancing, then you already have a biased data, now you can't balance it, that biased data will be balanced, right? So first we need to change the weights, and by weights I mean the importance. So we will give more importance to each value of y. It's something like this. Now 339 is done. Let's move on to 340. So we have a prediction y hat on trained data set of 100 records. Let's say y be true values. We are interested in calculating sum of I is equal to 1 to 10 yi minus y hat by 1000. So let me do this for you. I is equal to 100 to this yi minus y hat whole square by 100, right? So here instead of whole square, what we are doing, we are taking a small variation and we are doing this mod by 100, and this remains. So this is called mean absolute error, and both are fine. This is also fine, but this actually penalizes the classes. Means if you go this wrong, this as this actual value of y deviates from the predicted value, that is y hat, you will get some large value, and when you square it, you penalize, right? You penalize, but here you will not penalize. So that's why it's called mean absolute error. So it says that which of the following function will help us achieve this easily. So from scikit-learn matrix, import mean absolute error. So if you haven't taken a class on MLT, you might know this. Okay, these three are not even a function or classes, nothing else is there. Now question number 341. We are interested in fitting an ARIMA model to our time series data. Specifically, we are interested in moving average of model 0, setting a lag value of 4 for auto regression, and difference order of 1. So basically ARIMA is a model. It is used for predicting time series, and I hope that from stats 1 you know what time series. So what it does is it takes three values p, q, b. Now p is nothing but your lag value, means by what you want to lag behind. Okay, q is nothing but the difference order, means what is the difference between the first time series and the second time series, and d is nothing but the moving average model. So this is by default. There are multiple moving average models, so which one you want to use? So you need to follow this ARIMA order. This is nothing but your p, this is nothing but your q, and this is nothing but d. So this question is really a little bit tricky question, because here you need to actually remember how to do this. So basically in ARIMA, what you do is, like if you have a time series, you divide it into multiple sections, and what you do is you shift it back. This now you get a history, right? History data, and based on this, based on some lag value, you try to predict the future value, and since you already have this future value, you try to compare it. If the values are wrong, then you adjust and you take a next shift and you again try to do the same thing unless until this value is minimum. So this is how ARIMA works. and this lag value is just how much you change. Okay? So this is the thing about ARIMA. Now 341 is done. 342 is like PyCaret is so it's a low code machine learning library by default, and by low code it means you need to code a little, like providing a data set in a specific format, and rest thing it will do on auto. Now question number 343. So subjectivity and plurality are two properties returned by sentiment function of library. Here you need to understand that we have learned about text blocks, so you can directly safely assume text block. Now what is polarity and what is subjectivity? Subjectivity means is the text given to you is an opinion or it's a general text, and polarity means difference. Means I will explain this in the next. Okay? A subjectivity score of 0.8 means that the text statement is actually an opinion. So have from 0 to 1. The more you go this side, it will be more of an opinion. It's like a polarity of negative 0.5 means, so basically it says 0.5 means a negative sentiment. So as I said earlier, polarity means nothing but the sentiment. And let me tell you, so the value ranges from -1 to 1, and here it means positive. From 0 to 1 it says positive, and from -1 to 0 it says mostly negative. So I assume you are very familiar with the covariance and correlation thing. So it's something similar to that. So here it says -0.5, so that means it moves here this side, and that means it is a negative sign. So it can't be an opinion and a factual statement, and by factual I mean the general one that I mentioned earlier. Okay, so this is called also called fact. And here if you see, we have completed this question 345. So now let's move on to question number 346. It says you are working on a piece of code that classifies different fruits into respective groups: citrus, berries, melons, apples, pears, tropical and exotic. Which of the following loss function from the Keras would you pick for the task? So those who don't know, Keras is a deep learning library, and in essence deep learning is nothing but training machine to learn from features using neurons. Yes, the brain neurons that you saw. Okay. Now, one thing that you need to understand is, like, for any type of classification that you do in deep learning, you mostly use categorical cross entropy loss function. There are so many different type of loss function, but since we are going on different groups, basically groups means what? Categories. So we will use categorical cross entropy function. Now let's move on to question number 347, and here it says classification report function from scikit-learn matrix module. It gives summary report of all metrics. So they may have phrased it differently. Let's see. Build a decision tree, classify and prints accuracy. No, this is wrong. Reports the root mean squared error of the model. No, RMSE is the function. Runs the different classification model and compares the results. So this might be tempting, but you are wrong. This is not the thing, because it says report. So it will not run the classification model and compare result. It will done by decision trees. Okay, so build a text report displaying the main classification matrix. So basically main classification matrix is nothing but precision, recall, F1 score, accuracy, area under curve. Those things are there. Now again we have a question from CSR matrix. I have already explained what CSR matrix is in the previous sections. So for the SciPy library, what it does, it helps to reduce the matrix space when there are a lot of zeros entries in the matrix. So a lot of zero entries means basically it's 1 0 0. So 0 1 0 0 and 0 0 1. So if it is like this and you have a lot of zeros, so here what they will do is like 1 1 1, and basically it represented as 1 1 and 1. So this is a sparse representation of matrix as a separate column. This is called sparse matrix, and it helps to reduce that in the way that I showed you. Helps reduce matrix space when there are a lot of negative entries in the matrix. No, it doesn't work with negative matrix. Makes matrix multiplication more meaningful and powerful. No, wrong. Now Google Studio is a tool that allows you to build dashboards, but only for small projects. So creates dashboard for small scale projects. This is the answer. Now, which of the following tab is used to identify API calls and inspect element in any browser? Now there are two tabs which are there. One I use is application, and second one that I use is network, I guess. So network is only there. Network, what it does, it shows what is incoming and what is outgoing request. Okay, so this is question 350. Now let's move on to next question 341. Which of the following library is used to construct API URLs? So basically, if you have seen, we use URL lib. So this is the particular library that is used to construct API rules. And by API rules, you mean is like you have the URL, you have the header file, you have the query string. So you define it as a dictionary, and then you call URL lib dot some function to merge them and make it URL slash header slash query, something like that. Okay, so this is a specific API format that a particular API can follow, and your ellipse helps to create that. Okay, now this is for question number 351. Now let's move on to question number 352. The final output from BBC weather location service API is in JSON format. So any API will return the response mostly in JSON or XML format. So by default, this particular API returns it in JSON format. So it says true. Now question number 353. Which of the following Excel chart is most suitable for detecting outliers? This is nothing but box and whiskers plot. And what it does it? So this thing is outlier, this, and this is say 75%, this is 50%, and this is 25%. So this is how box plot works. So this is box and whiskers plot. Answers there. Now 354 question. Which of the among the following feature is in Excel enables you to scrape data from websites? Like data analysis toolpack, that's wrong. It is for data analysis only. Connections, wrong. Data validation, wrong. None of these the right answer. Assume data provided to you has a column that consists of sales dates. So dates are there. So make sure you work on month, day, year. You would want to extract the week number from the column for further analysis. So which Excel function enables you to perform this above mentioned point? View use week num and cell value. Now here we get wrong, get week num wrong. Week num is the right answer. I have provided cell value as an extra parameter or argument. 356. The data consists of caloric intake, weight, and BMI for individuals. To compute the correlation coefficient between these three variables, Excel data analysis toolpack require you to specify input variables and the target variables. So this is wrong, because if you directly do it, then it will pre-assume things. This is target variable and this is input variable. Okay. Now 357. What is the purpose of using find method in BeautifulSoup? So I can explain it very shortly, but basically if you have tags and you have some values, so find will actually find where this tag is. But here is the detailed explanation. To locate all instead particular, now this is find all. To retrieve the text content of a specific HTML element, wrong. For this you use actually some value dot text. To extract the value of particular attribute of HTML tag, no, that's wrong. That is done by Atter, I guess. To search for tag with a specific name or ID within HTML document. So this is the right answer. Actually, it actually just finds or search. Okay, so find is where tag is. So where tag is means search, right? This is the answer for question number 357. Now 358 comes. Which of the following is true about K-means clustering algorithm? So K-means is unsupervised, by the way, if you don't know, because as you know, we haven't provided any Y data, right? We haven't provided any labels when we saw, right? We just initialized it with the clusters and it would find the similarities and create the clusters around it. Okay. It is only applicable for data with small number. No, we can specify with a large number of features also. It is sensitive to initial choice of centroid. So centroid is what? So remember I mentioned that we have some data and we start a cluster at the very center. So this is called centroid. What it does, it just check which is the neighboring values, and this depends on initial value of k defined by n in it. Okay, and say this value is red and this is blue and this is blue. So here we have two blues and one red. So this data point will itself be blue. Okay, it is also to be derived categorical wrong. Nominatim API can be used to find type of place for a given latitude and longitude. Yes, if you have done your project or GA, you might have known this. So this is true. Time series with significant autocorrelation at lag 1 implies that current observation is correlated with the previous observation. So if you remember at the earlier time our lag was 4, but lag of 1 means it's highly correlated. And as I mentioned that we do like separate this, move it, and then find this value and check if the correlation exists or not. So this is what they are asking. The current observation is correlated with the previous observation. Yes, right? The current observation is correlated with observation 2 times step ago. No, this is wrong, because here then your lag would be 2 times. The current observation correlated with observation 3 times a step ago. This would be 3. and none of these means nothing, but we already got the answer. So question number 360 is done. Now 361. So here the sentiment analysis function in text block classifies text as either positive or negative, classifies text into multiple categories of sentiment, calculates a numerical score for sentiment of the text. This is what this particular text block function, because if you remember, text block return us something, right? Sentiment score. Sentiment score is this numerical score for sentiment of the text. Sentiment of the text means where this text is going, or what type of text is this. So it ranges between 0 to 1, or in some cases -1 to whatever you want to. 362. From the below option, identify the correct one that provides the explanation of file structure in Tableau. So here it says worksheet. So worksheet is nothing but contains a single view along with sales, legends, and data pane. So basically worksheet is something where you put all your data. Okay. Dashboard is a collection of views of multiple worksheets. So what is dashboard is actually this is a page, and here you have multiple data panes where you have done some analysis, and this is what we call dashboard. Okay. And C, story, contains sequence of worksheet or dashboard that work together to convey information. So this dashboard are linked actually in such a way that it conveys the information. So basically 1 will be B, 2 will be C, and 3 will be A. This is the answer. Okay. Now 363, identify the type of join used below. I think you might have taken DBMS, so this is nothing but inner join, because we are only joining based on common or intersection, right? So inner join is this. Which attribute does not belong to category of data while categorizing data based on specifics of disclosure risk from which data set to be protected. Really, intuition that I would get from this is like which attribute can't be taken from the category of data such that disclosure risk, basically whatever sensitive information is not there. So these type of attributes are actually called non-identifying attribute, because identifying attribute means sensitive information, quasi and identifying means set of all. Identifying sensitive attributes itself means sensitive, and insensitive attributes may also contain, say, date. Date may be an insensitive attribute, but it might be possible then based on this date some specific event may happen and they may get some information based on that, and we don't want that. So non-identifying attributes are what we require. Actually attributes mean nothing but columns. Okay. Now 365 question number. One of the method of removing outlier for continuous data is IQR analysis. Whatever I have shown in box plot, that is the same thing as IQR analysis. 366. You decide to encode a categorical variable using one-hot encoding. What happens to your data frame when it is done? So one-hot encoding just increases columns. So say you have a data A, B, and C. Now here you have some values, and when you do one hot encoding, what happens like A0, A1, AB2, and B0, B1, and B2, and C0, C1, and C2. So if you have a 0 value here it will be 0. If you have 1 value here it will be 1 and 2. So whatever value you have, that will be only 1, rest will be 0. Okay. So basically a sparse matrix representation, but basically number of columns will increase. Row will not increase because the data set remains the same. Both rows and columns, no, that's wrong. None of these. So 367. Dash table is an Excel summarizing data. I think if you have done the BDM class, then you might know about pivot tables. Pivot table is quickly way of summarizing your data. So that's the answer actually. And here none of the other things are present in even Excel. Okay. Now 368, provided below is incomplete code snippet that enables you to compute distance between two locations. Choose the most appropriate option that can be used in place of missing line to compute the distance. Assume that coordinates of location 1 is stored in variable location 1 and coordinates of location 2 is stored in variable location 2. So we have been given location 1 and location 2 and we need to compute the distance. So here if you say distance in kilometers and empty list for row in df.itertables, index is equal to false. Okay, itertables is based on method on so that you can create a tuple out of it. Distance kilometer.append. So this is the list append missing line. So what is the missing line that we need to find? So df distance is your distance kilometer and head is equal to 10. So these we don't require, we need to find this. Okay. Now here you have go with the option, don't pre-assume the code. Here they are using GeoPy. So I think there is a mistake in this question. They should say that they are using GeoPy or either write import GeoPy. So GeoPy distance location 1 comma location 2 dot kilometer, that's wrong. GeoPy dot distance location 1 location 2, wrong. GeoPy dot distance dot distance. So basically what happens is GeoPy is the main lib, distance is the module, and in module of distance there is a distance function, and here you need to pass location 1 and location 2. So this calculates the distance, and then this dot kilometer converts this distance to kilometer. So remember this particular syntax, that's very important. It might be possible that you may get this type of question. Now geopie distance, here there are 3 distances, so this is the trick. Rest all things remains the same. Okay, now 369 question number, multiple choice question is there, and here again this is a very good question to say, because it actually asks you to think about web scraping first of all, and second, you need to understand web scraping in order to solve this question. So provided below is a snippet of code block of HTML tags from a website providing weather forecast. Your goal is to scrape the high and low values for the 10-day temperature forecast. So here we have a div class WR day temperature high and span class WR day temperature underscore high level WR hide visual. Where span class WR day temperature high value and again WR temperature. So one thing that you might want to note is like here there is a div and then there is a span. So I assume that you know a little bit of HTML. Else please go and look at what I am explaining from web scraping. Okay, so div is there and then a span. So div is basically a divider or whatever you say, and span is just a small section of it. Okay, now span is there and there is a class. So class is basically referring to some attribute, and you need to find high and low values. So if you see, this is for high and WR value temperature C is the class for this, and WR temperature F is for the class of this. So this is for the high values. Okay, and similarly you can see same thing for the low values here. Okay, now by default, if you have watched the lecture, you might be tempted that we need to use this thing, this and this, but that's a wrong assumption because these are not being distinguished. So in order to distinguish between the high and low temperature, we are actually going to focus on only div block, because it says that we need 10-day temperature forecast or not only 1-day forecast. If you do this, you will get only 1-day or 2-day forecast, right? But if you go inside the div there will be multiple things. Maybe there will be more classes. This is just a snippet, right? So there will be more and more. So 10-day forecast you can only get from WR day temperature high and WR day temperature low. This class is what you are required, and that's the question. Also provided below is the Python code to extract the values from the text, but the tags represented A and B are missing. Choose the most appropriate tag that will give you high and low values for 14-day temperature forecast. Okay, so this particular thing gives you for 10. Now you need to expand it to 14. So here they have played with you actually. So it says that high value will be in B and low values will be in A. So basically whatever for high value we are doing, we need to go for this. Okay, WR day temperature high. So for A we will do WR day temp low. So here you need to think about it. A, WR day temperature F and C. I said no, you might get tempted to do this, but that's not the solution. Again CC, no, you will only get some one value. WR day temperature low for A that we have seen, okay, and WR day temperature high for B we have seen. Okay, so this is the answer. Now 370 question number. The given piece of code extract and displays details of 9 scheduled airlines in India. Identify which block code executes without any errors. Okay, so here they have given you code and you need to find whether the code will execute without error or with error. So first they have imported request, then pandas, then they have just created a BeautifulSoup object, then website URL request.get soup required table pd index.html df data frame and pd. So basically for any of the thing, first import required libraries, then get data. So for that you can use request or whatever library, then create a soup object, then you need to find the particular tag that you need. After that you need to read it and then you need to convert to data frame, and then finally you need to print the data frame. So this is the structure that you need to follow. So this is the right tag to do this. Now let's look at why other are wrong. So first of all, import request pandas BeautifulSoup this required table. So where we have initialized this BeautifulSoup object, we haven't initialized, so this is wrong. Import get pandas pd this soup BeautifulSoup website URL HTML parser PDF string required table and pd.data frame and df is equal to 0. So let's compare this. Okay, the error is nothing. So you haven't found the text, you can't get the tables, right? So that's the wrong thing here. And here if you see, they have initialized everything almost right. Request pandas, beta frame, beautiful soup, soup is equal to beautiful soup website URL, but they haven't found the content. So if they haven't found the content, how they can do the work? So that's wrong answer. Now 371, this question is mostly from Tableau. So in Tableau you can't use this particular method to determine certain condition is true or false. So it says if profit is greater than 0, then profitable, else if profit is less than 0. Problem here is how they are defining profit, it is not given. So that's why you can't use it. So this is the wrong answer. Now 372, which of among the following code block will get you latitude and longitude of IIT Madras? Assume no many-time library is imported using command given. So here I don't know why this answer is right. Maybe there was some printing mistake, but basically this location should be here. So locator is equal to nominative user agent my geocoder. So this is the first step. First initialize the locator object. Then location is equal to locator.geocode IIT Madras, Chennai, India. So basically this is the info that we need to pass to geocode. Print latitude is equal to this, longitude is equal to this, dot format location dot latitude location dot longitude. So this is the right code. Here if you see, they haven't actually formatted the code, so this is wrong, because here you are passing it as a variable, and you need to make sure that you format that particular thing. Now here if you see location geocode IIT Madras format location, but here you haven't initialized the locator itself, so this is wrong. Now location is equal to nominative user agent my geocode latitude longitude format location. Again if you see what is the error here, location, then how can you solve it, right? So you can't do that. Now again this question similar to above what we have seen, CCA, BBA, and then again you have a sparse matrix. So it's called one hot encoding in general sense. So that's what it is asked. So what is this? Why it's called one hot encoding? Because it's very simple that if you have a particular row as the value or the category, then you pass 1, else 0. So this is called one hot encoding, because only one for particular value which is present. So this is a compact representation and makes things quicker and easier. 374 provided below is a snapshot of data which consists of movies and reviews respective levels. So review sentiment, compute the sentiment scores of SU's machine learning, add in required input and output values. In the figure provided below, the input and output cells need to be populated with appropriate values to obtain sentiment scores. So sentiment scores are these. So here if you see, it says what will be your input and what will be in your output. Choose the most appropriate option that enables you to predict sentiment score using Excel in machine learning add-on. So you must have used this. If you haven't, then only you need A1 till A11. So this is what is there. Input seat A11. Why this seat 1? Because seat 1 is the name. Okay, and we are fixing it here based on this, and seat C1. So new seat will be created. So rather than using columns, they have changed it to seats. That's all, nothing else. Okay. Question number 375. It says in Streamlit, how would you create the following image? Assumption, import Streamlit as ST. So this image we have to create, and the way we create using Streamlit is st.selectbox. You pass in a dictionary which will be header, and this header will be nothing but what you can see here, and then you will pass it a list that will be your drop down like this. Okay, you can see, right? 376. Scikit-network package contains function for social network analysis of large graphs. So this is the right answer. Which of the following are the method of BeautifulSoup object? So there are find all, and prettify. So find is basically for selecting one tag, basically finding all tags, beautify the HTML content. Okay, that's what done by prettify. Next, we are analyzing how much a number of lectures hours attended by student affect their exam scores. Which Excel function would use starting point of this analysis? I would like to do slope. Why slope? Because here we can predict like score, here hours, and if you do like this and here as a plot, then your slope can easily find the relation, right? Affect their exam scores. I would like to do slope, and you will not do standard deviation of population and sample and exact is not a method that we can do here. So standard deviation, this will show just the variations. Okay, so we'll not do this. In previous question, we planned to run a regression analysis after preliminary analysis. Which of the following feature provide the capability data analysis toolpack? I assume that you might have used this, and this marks the completion of entire TDS question paper. Sorry for bad handwriting, because I am not very habitual on writing on a screen and I have to do it in a very short span of time. So extremely sorry for that. But if you like the video and explanation of the questions that I showed you, please consider liking and sharing it with others who are in need, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for these type of new videos. See you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.